So hi friends, welcome back to the ship tutorial. So today we'll be creating an application. So this one will be a tableview application. This will help you to display a grouping. So apart from that, it will have some animation too. This application will help you to delete some data from your table view, and once if you drag it down, it would restore the original data. So we'll get started. So as always, we'll get started with a new Xcode project. So we'll choose single view application and the product name will be table view app. The language will be shift. So device will choose it for now as iPhone. Next, so asking me from the location, I'll set it as a desktop. So it's saying me I already have a same application in desktop. Let it go. So I have created a table view app and I'm going into storyboard. I just have to drag a table view into my view controller, and I will have some pretty constraints, all leading, trailing, bottom and top as 0. And now I'll drag a table view cell into my table view. So I'm gonna set the cell identifier so that I will reuse my table view cell, so we'll have some good memory management in my application. So our next step will be setting the data source. So data source and my delegate both. So whatever data I will set in my function will affect in my UI. So you can set it from here and by UI level and even by programming also. So now our next step is we'll have the IB outlet of this table view for our future reference. I will tell you why we are getting this table view IB outlet. So if I get this side, so if I have this table view outlet, I will have the entire control of this table view from my programming side. So now we'll set the data into the table view. The first step we'll do is we'll just create a table view with this a single array. For displaying the entire application, we create a array list. For now, we'll have a array to display the three data: apple, orange and grapes. For initial, we'll create a array. We'll have apple, orange and grapes. So now for passing the data into the table view, we have to import few protocols into our class, that is UI table view delegate and UI table view data source, which have set in UI level. So now this one is showing me error that it does not conform to the protocol of UI data source. So I will show you why it is showing this error. So this is because our UI table view data source protocol got to required functions to be implemented in our class. So these functions will be number of rows in section and cell for row art. So these two functions are required functions. So if you are passing data into this functions, you could able to display the cell in the table view. So now we'll implement those functions in our class. So these are the functions that are mandatory in data source. So the error is gone. So now we'll create a table view cell which I have to return for this function. So we'll create a cell table view dot dequeue select. So this table view will have a dequeue reusable cell which should get a input a reusable identifier which have setted here this identifier string value. This one will pass it as a input to the application. Sorry. So we'll pass this cell identifier into the table view cell for reusing it. So for index path will be the index path which we are getting as input param, and we'll return this cell. So we are done with this function, and for here we'll return the array count. So this one will return the number of elements in this array, so that the number of cell it should create in the table view. So here we'll set the data in the table view. So what this one does is it will get the index path of the particular row which we are trying to get, and it will send it to the array, and it will get the data from the array and set in the cell text label. So the text label will be a default label in the cell. So now we are done with a small module, and now we'll go for the next module, that is our so we are done with a small module. For creating the sections, we have to create a array list, and we have to add few more implementations so that we could able to achieve this animation and sections in this table view. So first step, we'll create a array list. So for array list, I'm gonna copy this particular array and paste this one for few more times. So now we have a array list. For displaying this section, first we have to implement number of sections. So this one will get the number of sections from the function and set it into the table view. Return array dot count, and number of rows in section will be array of section dot count. So this one will tell you how many rows should be there in each section. So here we'll have a small modification. So dot section dot row. So this one will act as a two-dimensional array and get the data from each array list and set it into the table view. We'll compile now and see it, what are the changes we have made. So now we have created a sections. So this one is 1 2 3 4 sections, so we have pretty good start. So for this headers which is there in the table view of each section, we have to implement two functions for that. So it's pretty simple, just we have to implement view for header in section. So this function will get a UI view as input and display in each section. And one more function, that is height for header in section. So this one will get the height for the header in each section. So this one will help you also in handling the headers or hiding the headers in particular sections. So we'll have the section header size as 30 and we'll create a label here, UI label. So we'll pass a CG direct here. So CG direct will give the frame size and origin, everything. So we'll start with, so this will adjust with 0x and 0y point, and the width will be the frame width. So we'll get the width of the view. So self dot view dot frame dot width. So this one will get the width from the application and set the view width, and the height will be same as what we give here. And we'll return this label. So now you will have a question that we have to return a UI view, but you are returning a UI label, but still this one accepts. So why? So I will show you that this one inherits the properties of UI view, so that's why it's accepting. So that's the beauty of inheritance. So now we'll set the label dot background color as UI color dot light gray. So we'll have some nice gray color. So label dot text will be fruits list and its number. So now we have implement this one and we'll see the changes to now. Wow, here it is. So we have achieved the same what I have showed here. Mm. So by native they are providing this animation, so still we are pinning with two functionalities, the delete one and restoring the original data. So now first we'll start with delete functionality. So this one is pretty simple. You just have to implement the editing method. So this one will give you a editing style, just have to compare it. So if editing style is equal to dot, so we got insert, none and delete, so we'll choose delete. And if it is delete, you have to delete the particular cell which the user points, and delete the data from the list, and you have to reload the data. So only then you could able to remove the data from the UI level 2. So if the editing style is delete, first we have to remove the data from the particular index path. So we'll get the particular array from the array list and remove the data from the that specific array. And now we just have to reload this particular table view. That's it. So this is showing me a warning that this array is a let constant. We have to may change it into a var to make it mutable. So actually this one I made it as a let constant, so now I'll change it into a var, so this one will be mutable. I could able to delete or modify, or I could able to make some changes in this array. I will show you what are the changes we have made using this editing style implementation. So now I could able to delete the data from my table, but I couldn't able to restore it because we haven't worked on that functionality. So now we'll work on this reload functionality. So actually this component is a UI refresh control, so this one will help you to reload in background, and you could be able to work on the table view. So now we'll work on this reload functionality. So this one is actually a UI refresh control component, so this one will help you to reload in background, and this one won't interfere in your main functionality, so that you could able to work in front, and this reloading functionality will occur in the background. So now we'll create a refresh control of type UI refresh control, and we'll add this one into the table view as subview. So that's it. So now if you drag your table view, you could able to see your refresh control getting loaded. So just started. So now we could able to see this refresh control, but we haven't handled this, so it will be keep on loading. So we could able to identify this one using the scroll view. So scroll view and deaccelerating function, we could able to utilize this function to identify whether the scroll view, I'm sorry, so you could able to identify whether this refresh control is refreshing or not. So here we'll check if self dot refresh control dot is refreshing. So if this particular refresh if this particular refresh control is refreshing, we could able to handle it here. So what are the changes here gonna happen is, even if I delete this data, I have to restore the original data into my array list. So now we'll add some instructions to restore the original data into the table view. So for that, I'm gonna create a new array so that the original data will be stored in one array that will be restored into my original data source when I refresh my table view. So for that, we'll create a lazy variable. We'll keep this one as array of type string array list, and so this one will return self dot array. So we already will use this one as our array, so that this one will be a static array. So what happens is, this one will be a temporary array which have a copy of the static array in this memory. So all the deletion, everything happens in this particular array, and whenever I call the refresh, this particular static array will be copied into this array. So this one will make it again as a lit constant. And now here what we'll do is, whenever this particular refresh control is refreshing, we'll change self dot array into self dot static array. We'll copy the data from static array into the array, and we'll reload the table view, and at final we'll stop this refreshing. So we'll call self dot refresh control dot end refreshing. So this refresh control will stop refreshing. So there's an error. So what is that? Actually, this listening error, that's a small one. It should be a type of function. No, I just forgot to add this parenthesis here. So now you have this table view. So now you have this tableview application, you could able to delete, and once if you pull it down, it will restore the original data. So you could able to see this one. I could able to delete all the data from my table view, and once if I pull it, it will restore all my data into my application. So thank you friends, thank you for watching this tutorial. If you like this tutorial, just give a thumbs up, and for your suggestions and any doubts, just comment on the box, and please don't forget to subscribe this channel for my future shift tutorials.